It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. The movie is really, really bad.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now.
The projector hums over rows of empty seats. Opening night, prime time, and yet you can hear soda straws squeak against plastic lids. How did Disney's fairest fairy tale mutate into a box office horror show?
Snow White is generally understood to be a very, very white person. And in this case, they decided, nope, no, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't think we're allowed to say that, right? I was referring to the movie as sand beige.
Tonight, we'll follow the breadcrumbs. One rumor, one misstep, one televised meltdown at a time, until we reach the poison core. 1. The $300 million dream that dozed off.
That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
Disney swung for the fences, a reported $300 million budget, armies of VFX artists, and gowns woven from iridescent fabric that shimmered like liquid sunrise. The marketing drumbeat started 12 months out. Teasers on Times Square billboards, Arkansas filters that let fans hold an apple that burst into virtual glitter. Pre-sales looked healthy, but on March 21st, 2025, ticket counters flickered in red. Opening weekend revenue barely cracked $88 million worldwide, a figure so low analysts refreshed their dashboards, certain it was a data lag. It wasn't. By Monday, Disney's internal forecast shaved off another $100 million in expected grosses, and accounting teams quietly revised break-even to brace for impact. But money wasn't the first domino to fall. Two castings spark, culture war wildfire. When Rachel Zegler, a Latina soprano with a Broadway belt, won the role, headlines hailed a modern princess.
Yeah, I have a clip of it.
Oh, okay, great.
Her being a retard.
Okay.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Yet within hours, #NotMySnow White trended. Some posts dripped with old-school racism. Others claimed Disney was race-swapping for clout. Then Peter Dinklage blasted the studio for hypocrisy in portraying dwarfs, igniting a fresh front. Disney pivoted. Out went the classic 7. In came forest folk, taller CGI-assisted companions. Traditionalists cried sacrilege, progressives called it half-measured, and neutral observers just scratched their heads. The film hadn't shot a frame, but the discourse was already radioactive. Still, a controversy without a face is just noise. Soon it would find its lightning rod. 3. When the lead princess talks back. The press tour began with standard sunshine. Morning shows, late-night couches, a viral clip of Zegler belting, "Someday my prince will come." Then Variety posted an interview snippet. She labeled the prince a stalker, the 1937 plot so dated. Within minutes, reaction videos spawned like gremlins in a rainstorm.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
So we didn't do that this time.
Some praised her honesty. Others declared she'd spit on Disney's crown jewels. One outraged YouTuber racked up 2 million views dissecting her every sentence, pausing to sigh theatrically between words. Algorithms feasted, and each new upload shoved the trailer further down recommended feeds. Disney's crisis team tried trimming the clip, but screen recordings live forever. Hashtags evolved, #SnowWoke, #SnowSnub, #CancelZegler. Sponsors began asking for tone checks before allowing their brands near the campaign. Yet even viral outrage needs a spark to reach flashover. That spark arrived on daytime TV. 4. The View meltdown, mid-March, studio lights, live audience, and a segment arranged to recenter the narrative. Producers armed Zegler with gentle talking points: empowerment, legacy, heart. But once the cameras rolled, she zigzagged into wage gaps, political funding, and a jab at nostalgia addicts clinging to fairy dust. Hosts blinked, cue cards flapped. The control room whispered, "Go to break." Too late.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
Bitch! The
Our
right to buy
reproductive
Cosby
rights.
sweaters?
Come on.
This is the face
Go
of a
vote blue.
serial killer.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
Viewers clipped the chaos, lip-read off-mic profanity, and stitched memes before the show returned from commercials. The phrase Snow White meltdown shot to #1 trending in 27 countries, outranking the actual trailer. Within Disney's halls, the meltdown registered as a 5-alarm fire. Press junkets were slashed. Live condas canceled. Zegler's next interview took place via satellite from a hotel ballroom in Tokyo, 12 time zones away from US tabloids. But the retreat only confirmed what fans suspected. Something inside the Magic Kingdom had gone rotten. 5 marketing in freefall. The Hollywood premiere shrank from a street-spanning spectacle to a private screening with embargoed photo release. Influencer invites vanished. Red carpet reporters were told, no questions. Billboards still glowed, but the faces on them felt ghostly, like advertisements for a festival that had already closed. Inside sources leaked tales of frantic reshoots, a missing song here, a reanimated forest creature there, all racing a deadline that refused to budge. Crew overtime ballooned, union reps whispered about grievances, yet Disney insisted all is on schedule for a magical debut. Audiences sensed the desperation. People can smell spin the way sharks smell blood.
But the primary suffering is being sent in by my company to watch a children's movie as a single man, like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. That was the first part that was a little bit weird, but I was basically the only person in the theater.
And when audiences smell blood, they circle elsewhere. 6 box office bloodbath and AMC shockwaves. Opening night vloggers documented cavernous theaters. One TikTok stitched 30 clips of empty auditoriums scored to a lullaby version of Hi-Ho. By the second weekend, revenue fell 58%. AMC regional managers begged corporate to reassign screens to the animated re-release still packing families. When the Midwest division quietly pulled the plug, blogs blasted AMC drops Disney flop. Corporate PR called it routine scheduling, but nobody believed routine could look so ruthless. Stock watchers speculated about fractures in the century-old Disney exhibitor alliance. Film Twitter joked that the dwarfs weren't the only ones getting evicted from the mine. Meanwhile, smaller chains followed AMC's lead. No public statements, just vanished showtimes.
Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad.
The movie became Schrodinger's Snow White. Technically still released, practically nowhere to be seen. And in that vacuum, rumors breed faster than fruit flies. 7 fractures behind the mirror. Anonymous crew members spilled tea on Reddit. Reshoot days stretching past dawn. Script pages arriving wet from the printer. VFX deadlines so brutal animators slept under desks. A viral inside look thread alleged Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot hadn't spoken off camera in weeks. Jack Black joked on a podcast that he'd audition for Dopey 2.0 if Disney kept rewriting history. And the quip morphed into a headline: Hollywood turns on Snow White. Whether any of it was true hardly mattered. Each claim slotted neatly into the larger story of a production collapsing under its own self-importance. Even supporters grew weary. One prominent film TikToker, previously pro-Zegler, posted a tearful, "I'm exhausted defending this." That clip alone outperformed Disney's latest TV spot.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely when it got announced.
He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
Thing that was like trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
By now, the film wasn't just a flop. It was a cultural cautionary tale in real time. 8. The streaming surrender. 3 weeks post-launch, Disney announced an exclusive early streaming window on Disney+. Translation: dump it before the smell gets worse. The banner art appeared on the app's homepage like a sad confetti cannon. 8 million streams in 72 hours sounded solid until compared to the 30 million plus draws of prior remakes. Comment sections filled with rubberneckers. Here for the train wreck. Fan edits splicing 1937 animation over the new audio racked up more views than the official behind-the-scenes featurette.
Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad. In every way that the movie differed from the beloved 1937 original, it was worse.
Internally, executives floated the phrase brand fatigue. Externally, critics coined lecturetainment, arguing audiences will accept updates, but not sermons in place of stories. Disney's next live-action remake, a hush-hush project, quietly rewrote its press strategy. No unscripted daytime TV, no provocative sound bites, and absolutely no trash-talking the classics. Because once a kingdom loses the public's faith, regaining it takes more than pixie dust.
And so I've got some bona fides here on being fair, the movie was absolutely terrible. It basically, this movie was like you took the original Snow White and just put everything through this filter of liberalism. It wasn't through a filter of Japanese anime, it was through a filter of liberalism.
9 lessons carved in the castle walls. For Rachel Zegler, the label box office poison now lurks like a curse. Hollywood adores redemption arcs. Robert Downey Jr. went from mugshot to Iron Man, but each comeback demands contrition, and Zegler hasn't signaled she'll bite that apple. For Disney, the moral is sharper. Nostalgia is a fragile contract. Update the gown, modernize the dialogue, diversify the cast, audiences will cheer. But insult the source, and the magic mirror cracks. No marketing spend can hide the fissure. Social media magnifies it into a canyon. Executives already draft stricter talent clauses. No off-the-cuff political tangents during promotional windows. Mandatory media training refreshers, and kill switches on live broadcasts. Yet over-control risks another backlash. Nobody likes robots selling whimsy. The next equilibrium will be a tightrope. Authenticity without anarchy. And hovering over every brainstorm session is the specter of Snow White's meltdown, a ghost that rattles the castle gates whenever someone suggests a bold new twist. 10 outro, the apple's aftertaste. So the auditorium stays quiet, popcorn kernels unpopped, and the projector cycles through its idle screensaver of enchanted forests no one came to see. A cautionary tale flickers on the marquee where dreams once danced. Somewhere in Burbank, a junior exec rereads that ancient line. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? After the snowstorm, the answer is painfully clear. Whoever remembers that a story's first duty is to enchant before it preaches, to delight before it debates. Because once the spell breaks, once audiences feel scolded for loving the old magic, the crown shatters and no kingdom's treasury can buy enough glue. The credits roll, lights rise, and we step into the night still humming hi-ho, wondering which cherished tale Hollywood will try to reinvent next, and whether it will sparkle or splinter. The only certainty? Audiences now keep their own mirrors handy, ready to reflect any studio hubris back at full glare. In that mirrored glare, the fairest of them all will be the one bold enough to honor the past while inviting the future without ever mistaking a sermon for a spell. But that, dear viewer, is tomorrow's riddle. For tonight, the apple's aftertaste lingers, tart and unforgettable, reminding us that even in a kingdom of billion-dollar castles, a single bite of bad storytelling can send the whole house tumbling down.